Okay, hi and good afternoon at conference. That's me, I'm John McCalla-Leacy. I'm a partner and global head of ESG at KPMG and also one of the vice chairmen in the UK. Hopefully you can hear me okay. There's a little bit of feedback. We good? For me to keep going? Brilliant, that's much better. I don't like hearing myself twice, so I'll keep going. So my job means that I am responsible for the embedding of ESG in all the products, all the services, and all the solutions that we deliver to our clients across 140 countries. This includes climate change work, it includes nature, biodiversity, it includes also human rights, and much, much more. But that's not quite why I'm here speaking to you today, mainly because that's me, you can see right here. Prior to this, as you just heard, I was an elite athlete. I used to compete for Great Britain, but I also coached for about 20 years, I coached Great Britain athletes, but also a number of athletes from right across the world who are current and former world and Olympic champions. So what I'm going to do now in a short period of time, in about just under 10 minutes or so, is just summarize some of the key learnings over those many decades with working in elite sport and how this could be applied to all of us as change makers in the roles that we have. So I'll kick off with learning number one. So here we go. Learning number one is focused on embracing innovation. So when I started many, many years ago in whitewater slalom, the boats were tens of kilos heavy. They were really, really heavy when you carry them around. Also, we would compete in whitewater. So this is down some rapids. It's pretty dangerous. No helmet. We didn't have a helmet at the time. We'd have buoyancy aids, which are like life vests, not particularly robust at the time. And I would just ask you for a second, as I look around, maybe just to think back to the first bike you ever had, or perhaps the first set of skis that you had, or your parents had, or even your trainers. Just think back for a second and think about how the technology, how the materials involved in those have advanced so much in such a short period of time. Now, in kayak and in canoeing right now, instead of being tens of kilos, they're about 8 kilos or even lighter. Wearing a helmet is mandatory. And here's the key lesson from sport here, is you embrace technology. You do so, you lean into it as a means of competitive advantage. And it is simply unacceptable to knowingly not use the technologies which are available for you when you know that it could mean that you're at a competitive disadvantage. So that's learning number one. So the second one is meticulous planning. So the Olympics will descend on Paris and here between July and August of this year. And when we worked with the athletes over the time, typically the planning is around what we call one cycle. So one cycle is 4 years. Now, a lot of my time as a coach, I specialize on working with junior elite athletes. So sometimes you worked on 2 cycles. So that's 8 years. So they would focus on 8 years, meticulous planning, just to get to this place, just to get here. And they focused on one thing only, all of them, irrespective of sport, just one thing, to arrive in this place on the day, the hour, and indeed the minute required to have peak performance. That's it. So focusing on that peak performance is absolutely critical for them, so they build back for years and years and years. And there was one saying, I'm sure many of you have heard this, is that you fail to plan, to prepare, and therefore you need to be prepared to fail. So meticulous planning is incredibly important. However, planning alone will get you nowhere. Just because you've done the plan, it doesn't mean that you win a medal. It doesn't mean that you hit those performance targets. You have to execute the plan. And this is what I'd often say to my athletes over these years. You focus on the process. Focus on the process and you let the outcome take care of itself. The outcome is a medal. The outcome is getting to the finals. But the process is getting up every day, doing the work, on the river, in the gym, focus on your nutrition, get enough sleep, focus on your hydration. You're doing this over and over and over and over again. So the process is very, very important. Now, you also, through that process, need to understand the environment. So here in Paris, about 60 kilometers or so from where we are right now, will be where the whitewater slalom event will take place. So in terms of understanding the environment, the athletes for about 2 years or so would have been coming here, back and forth, specifically to this event. They'll go to the river, they maybe walk forwards to the river bank, maybe they'll take a knee, and they'll have a look. They'll look at the wave, every single wave. They'll look at it from the left, from the right, at the same eye level. They'll look at it from above the river at the top and also from below. They will understand and study every single inch, and I do mean every single inch of that environment, so that they begin to understand how they will navigate this river when they come here and if they're fortunate enough to complete. So you understand the environment. And then from this, and I've seen this, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this. You look at the waves, you understand the types of waves. It's a haystack. It's a stopper wave. It's an eddy wave. You understand the power of it. And then you start to speak with your coach, and dependent on your skills and your abilities, you start to understand the choices that you have to navigate around that river. And then you get to a competition. I've seen this so many times. You get some of the best athletes in the world. They're competing. They're coming down the waves. And you see them coming down as fast as they can. It's brilliant. Around the wave. Down. Around the wave. Down. Around the wave. Down. Over the wave. You get a flash of inspiration. Maybe it's one athlete who's prepared to put everything on the line and to take a different route. And that is not without risk. But an athlete recognizes that she or her recognizes that if they can just execute that and do this in the right way, they could gain fractions of a second advantage. And that could be a difference between a gold medal and nothing at all. And it's so amazing when you watch that and you see the first person go over the wave, there's silence. Everybody leans in. Everybody looks. Are they going to make it or not? They make it. And in that second, in that instance, you realize what's happened in the minds of everybody around there and around. They have just expanded between what they thought was even possible. You reimagine the possible. You take the risk. You take those tough lines. And then there's team and I. And what do I mean by that? In terms of the team, in arriving in this place, there are so many people around individual athletes, whether this be the informal team, emotional support through family and loved ones, or the formal team, the coaches, the head coach, the strength and conditioning coach, the physiotherapists, and so much more. All of these are working together with one goal in mind. And in the context of sport, I would put it to you, the athletes that I work with, the one goal in mind is this. It's the relentless pursuit of excellence. It is excellence in performing for this particular sport, but it is excellence if you're a coach, if you're in the gym, if you're a sports scientist, in all that you do, if you're in communications, or if you're in logistics. So, conference, last 2 minutes. What does that mean for us as change makers? So if I take all of those learnings, those 6 learnings as change makers, what I would say is that embrace innovation in the job that you do. Lean into AI, to R&D. Do not refuse to cede advantage to other firms by failing to embrace innovation. Number 2, plan. If you have a 2040, 2035, 2030, whatever it is, net zero target, you come back and back and back to today. What does it mean that you need to do right there? You translate that plan into short-term milestones, and you focus on the process. Once you've got those milestones, I work with some of the largest companies in the whole world. What are the KPIs? How do you embed that into day-to-day, the work that you do? You then understand your environment. The environment right now is incredibly complex. The political environment, you've got demographic change, you've got the regulatory environment shifting, and the planet in which we're living is getting hotter and hotter. 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries are being breached. So you understand that when understanding how you progress forwards. Last two, I think I'm out of time, you reimagine what is possible in the context of how you work, where you work, what products, what services you actually deliver right now. And then you focus on the team and the I. So these are very specific accountabilities, goal settings, which are all driven through one thing that binds a lot. And I would suggest it is the relentless pursuit of sustainability. Sustainability in how we interact with the planet, ensuring that we're not taking out more of its resources than you're putting back in. Sustainability in terms of how we work and interact with each other, and sustainability in terms of how we drive responsible, equitable, sustainable value creation moving forwards. So I'm going to finish up now. There's one thing. I used to compete a long time ago, as I mentioned. I'm going to be honest, I've actually lost a lot of my medals from a long time ago. Some of the medals that I've got I haven't lost, but they've rusted. My mum has some, I have some, I don't know where they all are. Here's the point. You all have the potential as change makers to drive transformational change, which will not be lost. It will not be rusted. But instead, you have the potential for your roles to drive change, which will transition us all to a fairer and more just and low-carbon economy, which is right for today and from generation to generation. And I hope that these 6 ideas will help you on that